America is very good at living in the myth of America. You can't train away bias. You can't train away bigotry. He knows that he can step on the line where freedom of speech is, and that the Supreme Court will not slap his hand away.
And those people haven't given Black people reparations. Right. That needs to be addressed. We are living in literal serfdom. This is like a new medieval happening. This impacts everybody in the United States.
They cannot stand us to have anything.
And once they have established this as a precedent, they are going up the chain.
It has nothing to do with the American people.
Nothing.
It is all about power.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And through that collaboration in 2022 and 2021, I'm part of a team that's reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live on March 25th. Yes, March is coming to an end, and this week was the first, well, not the first full week. We had the first full day of spring, but the first full week of spring by next Tuesday, everything being in the right place. So family, we are here, State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and LaLa. So let's bring up the main stars on the stage. There they go. There they go. There they go. There we go. Jill, you're on mute.
The intro looks fabulous.
You like it?
Great.
Is that new? We didn't have it last week, did we?
I can't. As that old song, My Lips Were Sealed.
Yes, it looks fabulous. I love it.
So finally, LaLa is, well, you always, now she's officially part of the family. She is a part of the intro. So it's
I love it. It was wonderful.
Like it?
Yes.
Love it. Thank you.
Much appreciated. Hail out to Kiara for doing
I like that little arrow that sort of like, goes through at the graphic at the end. It looks really good. Yeah.
I will make sure she's fully aware. How are everything with you ladies? What's going on, as Marvin would say?
Well, we could start singing that song, but it's not very uplifting.
Oh my goodness. So what do we before we go any further, let's say hello to one of our faves. Hello, Jen Myers. What's going on? What do we talk about before we go live? Well, it seems like periodically we need to have a new segment on State of Things. I'm going to call it Puss in Boots. Because if you watch the program even a little bit or listen to a little bit, Jill loves her puss. Where I come from, my heritage from is that's called cat.
Right.
So we were getting an update on the latest Puss in Boots from Jill Jones. So what's our first installment of Puss in Boots unofficially, Jill?
Well, right now there's one in the feral colony that is in heat. So creating quite a havoc in the neighborhood with a lot of caterwauling at night. And so it's been really real.
Okay. Does anyone else have a cat here?
No,
we had two.
Oh, why did you leave?
They died.
Oh.
We had them for a long time. They were like 17 and 19 when they passed.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
they live a long time.
Yeah. Cats are great. I mean, I hadn't, I was always a dog person. I had a few cats when I was younger, but as I came to California, I just, my cat Ashley, of course, found us. And then just of late where we are, just started dealing more with the colony of the cats locally and
Colony of
understanding.
cats.
Well,
Colony-
they're vital to your
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Okay.
When you remove any wild animal from its ecosystem and how it works, you change the whole ecosystem. They each serve such valuable purposes. So from having allergies to the way plants, certain species that are known in certain areas, if a certain animal is no longer there, then you may have an overgrowth of bougainvillea or something, which a lot of people are toxically allergic to. Beautiful plant, beautiful flower, but many people have major respiratory illnesses with it. So once I started getting into that and understanding that you can do a track and release these cats, and mainly what we want to do is to track them, take them to get fixed, and release them back.
But you got to be careful who you allow to do that, Joe. I just
know.
have a really good friend who is really into doing that, and this company in San Bernardino, they brought those cats back so sick that
Yes.
some died.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. You don't want to bring back illness or anything to it, because it's so funny that's why colonies, like if you go into Rome is outside of, I think Los Angeles has really big cat colonies that are protected. In Rome, they have them too. And you can't go anywhere in Rome without seeing cats. And Turkey is another place. So you're like walking by the Colosseum, or you're walking. It is because I remembered when I was doing a show in Rome, I remembered saying, wow, I would love to be a cat living in Rome, because it was just magnificent. You know, what a place to be a cat in.
Yeah, that's true.
I've never heard about cats having an ecosystem.
They participate in your ecosystem.
Okay.
Because they really are wild. They're just a hair from being domesticated, essentially. And then unfortunately we have the coyotes to deal with as well. These cats are outside. It is very tricky, and it's heartbreaking. We had P111. He passed away, and he was a mountain lion. We have a puma who comes around in the mountain area.
Okay. All right.
But he passed away, sadly. And we're trying to, build. The interesting thing about cats, even the big cats, they don't like to mate with their siblings, and they know who their siblings are. If that goes on, they end up with a lot of mental conditions. So we passed a law in California to build overpasses that are going to be for these animals to walk from freeways, because many of them are risking their lives and getting killed when they go across the 101 freeway or the 5, just to get to another mountainous region to meet a different cat that's not related to them. So it's just taking these LA people forever to get it done. I mean, they'll never get it. When they finally get it done, I think the world will have ended and been dead and gone. There'll be an overpass. It'll be God's overpass.
Okay. All right. Aisha, I like your sweatshirt.
Oh, it's Vanity. Friday, Jill and I will both be in New York.
My
presentation is actually on Vanity 6. I'm doing it. Well, it's a whole panel on Vanity 6, and one of the people presenting, her name is Robin. She's going to be talking about the aesthetics and the fashion, and I'm going to give the contextual background of girl groups 80s on through. So yeah, excited. And Jill and I will actually see each other in person for the first time.
Yes.
Wow.
For the first time?
Yes.
Yeah, we've never met in person.
Oh my God. That's so awesome.
I mean, this is going to be fun. Are we going to do the show live from there?
Yeah, that was the question, because I haven't decided if I was coming home or not yet. So if we're going to do it from there, I'll come back.
Yeah,
Saturday.
definitely. You can, hang out at my hotel. Party at my hotel,
Lord of mercy.
sleepover, bring your pajamas.
Jill and Aisha wearing onesies doing this show. All
Yes,
right.
definitely.
So Jen says, so excited. Yeah, I think that's gonna be. I cannot wait to see the pictures. Like Jen says, so exciting. Regina says, are Munzi and Brenda going to be there?
No,
Oh,
I really wish that they would, but because it puts a little bit of like weight on the responsibility to be talking about these really key things. I know if Vanity was here or Denise was here, she would have done it. She had a lot more vested, and those are some great times that should always be celebrated and made clear, because this is sort of archival. This is through NYU professors and academia, people like Aisha and all of these wonderfully gifted writers, and yeah.
well,
So
remind me one day to tell you guys how I just knew that I was going to be the fourth person in Vanity Six, and how I decided I was going to do it. It is a hilarious story. If my mother ever knew, I would probably still be grounded.
Oh my God, you were little too, very little.
wow.
Jesus.
So let's get some background. What is the event you're attending? And I have a second question on it. What's this event that you're all attending in New York? You and Jill.
Well, it's an annual conference. What's D'Angela's last name? I can't remember. But she has a organization that she refers to as Polished Solid, but she works for NYU, and she does these annual anniversary conferences around all things Prince. So this year is the 40th anniversary of the Triple Threat Tour. This will probably be, Jill, you've done one other one, I think, for what was it, the anniversary of Graffiti Bridge, and I think I've done like three other ones.
We did them on the during COVID.
That was during
Zoom.
COVID, yeah. Last year's was also a distance, a virtual show, virtual conference, but the first one I did was in 2018. Yes, but that was in 2018 was the first one I did, and that was the Love 60 anniversary. So
and this is amazing, but I have a question. Is this being documented and or live streamed at all?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's live streamed. You can go to there's a website that you can sign up for, and then she also puts it on YouTube after, because I've seen the other ones, like the first one I went to, I actually had to get back to Connecticut, so I didn't get to stay for the whole conference, but I did get to watch part of it. And and I think I wanted to be a part of it after I actually saw a Prince and David Bowie conference at Yale. I went to that one in 2016, I think.
So Jill, question for you and Aisha: did Prince and David Bowie ever perform together?
No, not that I know of. No.
Oh, that would have been.
I think that was one of the things that they said at that Yale conference that they never did. They just they both died that year, so that was one of the reasons for that joint conference.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of interesting crossovers, and a lot of the people that I met there actually were at the ones at NYU.
That would have been an interesting performance. Prince and David Bowie. Ooh.
Yeah, but I sometimes think that sometimes people should keep their distance.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because that would have been so peculiar for me.
Okay. No, but it's just interesting, and it's funny that, when I tell people, hold on here, we got a comment. Regina says, I love when Bowie confronted MTV of not playing MJ Prince videos.
True. He was very outspoken about what was happening. I mean, there's so many things. Bowie was talking about artificial intelligence then, which is so wild if you look at that interview.
And we got John saying here, during the 121 piano and mic show, Prince indicated he only met him once and it was nice.
Yes.
Right.
He was incredibly nice.
Okay.
I met him too.
Okay, Jill. We'll move on to our first conversation.
Had
please.
dinner. Yeah,
Okay.
no.
All right, Jill. We're going to move on to our conversation. We're in a boyish mood, but I think the first conversation topic's not going to be so happy and joyous.
Ooh, right.
Jill's breath.
Oh, what a downer.
Sure know how to kill a party, Dr. Vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, hold on. I didn't pick this. I just asked what you guys wanted to chat about.
Yeah.
Like,
Gosh.
this lady, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has become front and center of news stories when it comes to American politics.
You're too kind. You called her a lady. I call her an animal.
I know.
I call her MTG3, which is short for Marjorie Three Toes.
Yes.
MTG3, that's what I call her. She's like the Beckiest of all Beckys who ever Beckied in Beckydom. That's the only way to describe her.
Yeah.
The most
Awful.
unintelligent, I was thinking about this before the show, and you know how when you see something and you're not sure you're seeing what you see, so you say to the person next to you, am I seeing this, or did I hear that right? And they confirm it for you. She's doing that to all the crazy people on the Republican Party. But what you're not seeing is the fact that crazy people will always affirm to other crazy people that what they're seeing is the truth, because it means that they're less crazy.
Yes.
And we're at a point now where we need to recognize that she is the Republican Party. There is no, it's the far right. No, the far right wing is the core of the Republican base. The people who were quote unquote common sense Republicans have either left the party, become independents, or voted Democrat in the last two elections. So there is no, there are still Republicans that are they're not holding on. They're gone. And she would today apparently was talking about let's kill the Republican Party or let's destroy it. You already did.
Oh, and she called out Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and said that, you know what, she's sick of all of them and they just need to leave the whole party because she called for them to leave. I mean, she is the face of what this nightmare is. I mean, Trump let loose all the baboons. No, I can't even say that. Poor baboons are so precious. She's let loose the marmosets and she just is running wild. And there, to me, I'm sorry, there is a secret agenda that's not so secret, that they are propping her up for something big. They really are. She's getting way too much attention and way too much leeway with the things that she's doing.
She's like Sarah Palin on steroids. I mean,
no, I call her after her comments. For me, after her much hubris and bravado about what to do with the party, I'm calling her Paul Wellstone. And if we think about Paul Wellstone, like she's becoming a real nudge in some people's sides.
Yes.
And she might want to check herself at the door, because they don't typically let people like that just come in and take over, because that would mean she and Elise Stefanik are going to run neck and neck for the same placement with Kevin McCarthy's heart. So there's going to be some issues, but somebody going to set her up. I don't know. I don't know. I could be wrong, but she's definitely, saying some very provocative things like that Paul Wellstone was doing in his Democratic tenure back in the day. And now he's no longer here. But she's Miss Mouth. That's what she is. So she better watch it.
But I wonder if she's going to go anywhere. I was talking to my daughter earlier today. I actually watched the movie Game Change today because I really needed to see how this all started, because it didn't start with Trump. It started really, this insanity that we see now really started with Sarah Palin. But, I was telling my daughter about Trent Lott. And if you remember Trent Lott from 2002, he basically was the male Marjorie Taylor Greene, just in a business suit.
He was.
But the thing of it was that he said so many blasphemous things, the party dealt with him. they got rid of him. Because remember that comment that he made about Strom Thurmond. Well, if we voted for Strom Thurmond like we should have, America would be a whole different place. Remember, Strom Thurmond ran on a segregationist ticket.
Right.
Trent Lott was from Louisiana. He was the acceptable version of David Duke. He was David Duke without the sheet.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was going to all these places and speaking. There was this one particular event he spoke at. They called themselves the CCC, which were just white collar KKK. And it's the same stuff, but they excised him from the party because they saw that they were going to lose some elections. Okay, so they got rid of him and replaced him. And remember, he was the majority leader in the Senate at that time. He was Mitch McConnell.
True.
And so I don't see them taking care of her. They need because guess what? You can't get rid of that kind of evil without an exorcism. Exactly. And they don't want to exercise her, because if they do, that means they get rid of the party. Is the party Trump? Is it Marjorie Taylor Greene? Well, yeah, 75 million of them voted for Trump last election. That's not some crazy wing of the party. That is the party.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
as much as we like to say that they're all crazy, which we know that they're crazy, but there are crazies following them, and their votes count just like anybody else's.
Right. I don't think that. I think that she's gonna, a lot of this is posturing, hopefully for her job in Congress, but that she's thinking, but she's also doing it for a job outside of this, so that she can go and still get paid to work. She's not going to go away.
No.
But the powers that be have to decide how long they want to put up with it.
I think she's going to run for president in 2028.
Possibly.
I do. I don't see this. I don't see her. The more power that she's given within the party, the fact that
they've been sprucing her up a little bit. Somebody got a stylist, and somebody got a hairstylist, and she got a little bit of Botox. They did the same thing to Sarah Palin too. She got some filler to get rid of that Neanderthal hang that was still left over from the residual days of cavemen. She fixed that brow bone. So
eventually a stylist will tell her, if you're going to run as vice president for Trump, you've got to ditch the open-toed shoes.
No, but she has to ditch them, because foot surgery could lay her up for like a year. 2 toes like that, 2 feet like that, yeah.
Regina comments, Marjorie and the Chipmunks.
Yeah, I'll say. I don't know. I think that, where is Mitch McConnell these days?
Oh, honey, he's doing something crooked.
I remember he just got out of the hospital, so.
Yeah, he did, but I'm questioning somebody might have pushed his butt on down the steps because they get kind of tired of him. But I know that him and Cameron and them are up to something, y'all.
Yeah,
they are up to something. I told you, I saw it with my own eyes. He was in front of sitting with his wife right in front of me on the plane, and she was just a canoodling and canoodling, and I just wanted to throw up.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got off, I was going to literally ask you. My husband said, "You're not gonna do that, are you?" I was like, "Yeah." I was gonna say, like, "I hope you're proud of yourself," or something. I was gonna say something. I had it all right there. But as soon as he got off the plane, them security people came, and he was protected. Then I thought, I should have said,
Me, I would have said, "Can I see your hands?" Because I still don't believe that you're not dead. Because remember that time his hands looked like the mummy.
I know.
I think he is on whatever machine that Dick Cheney is on at night. Okay.
Yeah, getting the blood transferred.
I'm not convinced that he's literally still alive. I think that he's they're keeping him alive, like in some kind of chamber or something.
That he has to go to at nighttime. Well, they're saying that Fetterman isn't alive anymore. That's the new QAnonymous crazies that are looking at his picture and saying, that's not Fetterman, that's another person. These people, I mean, what are you going to do with them? We've talked about this before. What do you do with people like this that don't believe in anything? And, I don't know. Maybe you should let them play in traffic. I mean, it's really, what do we do? Because they're never coming
Play
back.
it, traffic.
Yeah,
No.
they're like the
Never
same.
coming back.
They're the same people who said that Prince died after Purple Rain, and that it was the stand-in that passed away in 2016. Look, this is who they are. They're believing that same craziness about John Fetterman. You know, God forbid somebody who had a stroke and deals with the mental health issues and anguish of going through all of that has to say, "Yo, I need to take a break and maybe get some treatment, because this I'm in right here is crazy."
It's very
Because Congress
common to
is
be
crazy.
depressed after a stroke. It's very common.
And having to deal with all those people that he has to deal with, you know, the Grim Reaper, Mitch McConnell, and all these other crazy, asinine, insane people. You know what? He is where Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to be.
Exactly.
That's the truth.
Exactly. But what do we do with this? We see it unfolding. I mean, those of us who know. But what do you do about it? I mean, I am so sick of seeing. I mean, I can't eat. I won't repost anything with the orange one. Somebody called him Velveeta Voldemort the other day, and I was like, that is perfect. That was so perfect. I will not repost him just because I don't want his picture on my feed. That's how sick he makes me. And I'm at that point. I'm past that point with her too. If I can't even listen to her talk. It just
he got a new wig. He got some kind of new fluff going on up there.
But this BS about her talking about the, you know, Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett from Houston, has been very good at going back and forth on all the shows saying, no, this is what I saw. They got tablets and access to internet. They're all in individual cells, not in general population, because Marjorie Taylor Greene knew what she was doing. She knew there would be no cameras there. Right. She knew that she was going to try and lie. And here's the thing, not one other Republican who was there has said anything. They are the default liars, in all of this. And it was so funny because today she tweets, well, Jasmine Crockett, it was their first time in the jail, mind you. It was your first time too.
I know.
Right. They go there before. And the fact that they were running up to them and treating these insurrectionists like they were celebrity, bowing at them and holding their hands. And then Kevin McCarthy, you know, I promise you, he took that meeting with Ashley Babbitt's mother at Marjorie Taylor Greene's insistence, right? Because they think that she's a hero. She got shot because she didn't follow the rules.
She's not a hero. We
should have complied.
We saw that mess.
She should have complied, like they tell us all the time. Just comply.
You know, it doesn't. You know, we in 100 years they get to change the narrative anyway, and that's how that's going to play out. And nobody's going to care. I mean, at least, you know, her mom has something to do now.
Jeez.
Got a job. She's like going to the senators. And I mean, it's sad about her daughter, but her daughter was really like aggressive on those videos. And it looked like she was going to stroke out anyway, because she was so mad. It was like, I mean, I think that she got so angry that, you know, she just couldn't even hear orders anymore that somebody's giving you. I mean, she literally always looked like she was going to have a stroke on her videos. It was kind of scary, and scarier to think that a child had to witness that kind of anger around those people. That, I mean, the thing is, they're only harming themselves for healing by not addressing the reality of the situation of who she really was, what really happened. They're not allowing the true healing to occur. We all watched what happened. We all saw it. You know, sadly, they're just fooling themselves. And Twitter is not the rest of the world. So, hello, people. You're a very small minority in the world of what you think you see.
I mean, Emmett Till was a martyr. She was someone who just didn't listen. And the guy did his job. His job, when you breach this thing and you're coming after
she'd gone for Cocoa Puffs. I mean, she was.
His charge was Nancy Pelosi. He swore an oath and everything to protect her at all costs. She breached that.
Who constantly churn out these conspiracy theories are responsible for that. They allowed that, and they helped to, you know, unfortunately take her life. They helped to create the circumstances. And no one wants to be accountable. And that's the
No.
sad part.
Accountable.
Because-
That's not even in the realm of anything
Yeah,
anymore.
no,
No accountability.
No,
What's
no,
that?
that's something that American people don't understand. They don't even know what it is. They're like, A,
No, and
B.
the whole QAnon thing, it's like QAnon is one, that whole cult is basically, it integrated itself into the party seamlessly. You can't tell the difference between what is QAnon versus what is Republican anymore. It's like they've lost all their values and principles, and at this point, all they're fighting for is the right to be as ignorant and as ugly as they possibly can.
But it's okay because I think the party should split. And I think that, it'll be really hard to look at these Asian people representatives going along with this stuff. Mind you, it would just be very difficult to watch these these congresswomen who just have been skating through for a paycheck. They do absolutely nothing in their districts. Nothing. Miss Kim and whatever the other one's name is. They don't do anything. They just do the okey doke. They're not. And, it's kind of like they're okay under siege of a Marjorie Taylor Greene to take over, and they'll just sit there and play nicely. It's kind of like, they will traffic whatever concept they have to traffic. That's just, they're not brave people. They're just not brave Congress people. And there's so very few brave ones. They're scared. And none of them have ever made $174,000 a year. So they're clinging to it, and the monies that they'll make meeting other people. It's all they'll of anybody, who's going to pay them a salary. That's 6 figures. They don't care.
And they are getting paid. Let's not forget, they are definitely getting paid.
Yes.
And their voters don't care. That's the other part of it, right? Their voters don't care. At this point, it's like, they're just saying, I don't care if inflation is high. I don't care about gas prices. I'm going to kind of say that I do, but I don't really care. I just care about the fact that they hate the people that I hate.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what unifies them. Hate. That's a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
And as they whittle it down and get more fascists on, they will kick the minorities off of the support system. Because what basically they'll realize, wow, we're feeding these idiots that we don't even like in this country. They'll cut them off. And that's what, sadly, these minority-minded, sort of sellouts of their own race who are supporting the Republican Party don't see it coming. But it did. If they did,
Candace.
Yeah, they'll have their money. They'll try to jet out and fly away. But because authoritarianism is, if we allow it to take over here, it will take over globally, and there will be nowhere to go for people who are minorities.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our next conversation. I will just take a little break. If you're watching live rather than the replay or listening, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. If you do it on YouTube, subscribe and also hit the notification bell. We'll get notified for upcoming conversations like this one here. You should be following, let alone the Dr. Vibe, just for this anyways, but also like on Facebook or any other platform you are watching this. So we haven't talked about this lately. We haven't really got deep into this conversation topic. Should TikTok be banned? Because in America, all government phones have been wiped with TikTok. In Canada, all government phones, at least federally, and I think even provincially, have been wiped for TikTok. Good thing, bad thing?
Good. I think TikTok should be banned because they can't guarantee anything. Some people say, like AOC and these people are like, well, there's data and whatever. The fact that you're okay with that is really why I don't like her that much anymore. Because I don't care for her, her thinking on this topic. I think that the sad part is that we need more regulations about our privacy and our data. And America has sold us out for so long that now the citizens are actually comfortable with it. You don't get that in Europe. You don't get that in Germany. People are outraged if they had this much kind of marketing stuff that comes to you on your phone because you said booger. and all of a sudden it's like all over your freaking like phone in the next week. That is not something that people still fight for their privacy and have gone up against these corporations. It astounds me that people want to just spread their legs for these billionaires. And I know why they don't want it to go away is because they're all trying to monetize and make money on it. But why wouldn't they want to regulate it and stop, the exploitation of children and just the exploitation of animals, the exploitation of everything? It's really, numbed down society. As it is, the other day, I was, go on. That's just my take. I think it's something that needs to be investigated. Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, Jill. I actually think that we need more regulations across all social media platforms because they all have these really bad negative aspects. We see this whole thing with misinformation. We see the effect it's having on the mental health of young people. What I don't understand is that, okay, you say a ban. Okay, cool. How do you enforce it? That's the question, because there's what state is it that decided? Was it Utah? What state is it that decided that they are banning TikTok and they have all these things, all these rules? And it's like one of the rules is that you can't, like for kids, there's a curfew after a certain time. How do you enforce that with kids who have phones? Exactly. How do you enforce that with kids who have phones? All they have to look. No one has to
carrier.
tell.
You would have to do it through the carrier, I believe.
Yeah, no one has to tell their real age on any of these platforms.
Yeah, how awful is that?
Is very real. You can go live anywhere you want to, download anything you want to with a VPN telling you that you're somewhere else. That cannot be really policed as much as people think. It's a nice thought, but it's not going to happen.
I mean, but I think they should just ban it. They make too much money off of us.
Yeah, I mean, but the algorithms are such that they can also change. For example, I looked at my Twitter. I know what my birth year is, and my birth year was part of my account. The other day, I looked and I'm looking at something, and I'm looking at my profile because I was going to change something, and it had my birth year in 1989. And I'm like, wait, I know I didn't put that. 1989 is so random. Why is it 1989 when I know that's not my birth? I know that's not my birth year.
I mean, I think coming off of the heels of having balloons from China, and knowing that the CCP is able to control the other company called Byte LLC, which is the sort of liaison here that is in a holding pattern. It's sort of an arm's length transaction. But if the CCP decided, hey, we want to see all your data on all these people in California, we're going to send them targeted information that we want them to start thinking, and we want them to go and commit crimes because they're going to believe this to be true. I think after having to shoot down not one, not two, but like 4 spy mechanisms from China, I think it only makes sense. The fact that people don't seem to understand what could happen to them is wild. I mean, they're so informed, but so misinformed. These people have committed genocide against the Uyghurs, and we don't know our foes or our friends anymore. This is not really, they're not a frenemy. China has a mission, and they know how dumb American people are and how greedy they are and how, thirsty for fame and infamy. This is an easy target, but they do not think that we are a principled society because they don't want us mixing with their people.
I have a little bit of a different take though, because I'm all for what you said. Jill, I agree with that. But I also have a massive issue with the fact of the person who is lobbying behind this and putting so much money behind it is Zuckerberg. Okay. Yeah. Let's look at what's going on here. There's more than just China and data. Okay. It's putting more money in the pockets of those who want it. Now, I find it very interesting that now that TikTok is on Capitol Hill, we knew this was coming a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Not too long ago, Zuckerberg decided that, hey, guess what? We're not paying creators no more. Sorry, thanks for the videos. Make more for us, though, because, now we're not going to pay you.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, you're talking about TikTok being banned. He doesn't have to pay you if TikTok gets banned, because they cannot live up to the standard that TikTok has created for people to make money. So it's way more than just the data thing. And what pissed me off to no end is that you have all these congressmen up there trying to, not even letting the man speak, and they don't even know what they're asking. Right. They don't know. They clearly don't know. So I'm not on the fence for protecting our data. I'm really not. What I want people to see is it's more than just then protecting your data, because the people who are paying to fight this are the ones who are just as guilty and are the billionaires, and they want to keep the money in their pockets. And where is this money going to that they're lobbying for? Once again, put that tattoo on each and every one.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that people are going to come back to Facebook.
I think many people have already deleted.
Done.
They lowballed. Here's the thing that bothered me. They lowballed questions of Zuckerberg and Jack back in the day. And then this guy, there was this kind of racist sentiment to the questions that they were asking and how they were asking them, because I sat there and I'm like, okay, some of these questions are actually pretty worthwhile asking. How come you didn't ask these, back in 2018 when you had Zuckerberg sitting there and you were treating him like you all treat Kyle Rittenhouse? Like he was just some.
They actually went after him for him targeting and the racist ads and all of that. I mean, how much more could they do? What more could they say? They kind of exposed him, Well,
the thing is that they didn't go far enough where they would have said, hey, because his excuse is we're a media platform, so we get to operate the way journalists do. And they just said, okay, you know what? You think you're a media platform? Cool. We're going to put some regulations on your platform.
Yeah, but that's the biggest thing of all. The government didn't do anything then. The FCC still hasn't no regulations. They can barely, let alone get and deal with anything. And why they don't is because those same lobbyists are paying them too. Exactly. So, there's no honor among thieves. They're all thieves, and they're all just trying to knock each other off. But the real issue is we need regulation on these things. But you've got to sit here and wonder how even on FaceTime the other day, a man was able to strangle his child on live FaceTime to the mother while he was in a police chase. Typically, there are people who monitor things, but I don't know anymore.
No, Facebook has had that problem. Remember the guy that on that Easter Sunday went and just was shooting random people on Facebook Live? They've got an issue, and they've got an issue, and it needs to be dealt with. The challenge, the irony, I think, for me watching that whole sequence is we owe China how much money, and we're trying to tell them. I dare any one of us to go to a business where we owe money and say, you know what, you're going to do this and this and this, and I owe you $20,000 on my car, but I'm still going to tell you how this is going to go. That's
but it's not just that. We are killing China at the moment when it comes down to our status of our money and them and their purchases of cheap money. And their real estate world collapsed. Horrible. They're not doing great either. So this is not a win-win for any of them. But what it is proving that they all want to take America down. So my whole thing is that we're getting prepared for this battle because BRICS is a situation that we can't deny. And I'm sorry, we have to shut it down for a minute to get strong again. Got to shut it down.
Well, we're gonna get strong when we already so weak in our own platforms. That's I don't mean platforms as in social media.
No,
like,
I think the
everywhere
people,
else.
the country, yeah, the
Right.
people are weak, but they're weak-minded, and sitting online all day long is only damaging us. You ask how they're going to enforce something in the state, ask China. They enforce their stuff. They don't let their kids do nothing.
Well, instead of trying to ban books and ban history, we need to be banning these platforms and putting those. That's a worthwhile conversation to have versus, oh yeah, you know what? I don't think we should have this children's book on Rosa Parks in our school because it's just it makes my kid feel bad. Let's ban this book, but not be on TikTok, which is full of misinformation.
I just want to interrupt. This is a good conversation. Just mention about how much China holds of the U.S. debt. I just found the story, though it's a little dated, February 15, 2022. China holds more than $1 trillion of the U.S. national debt.
Did you guys see the video I sent you yesterday?
I love it. Aisha, I loved it.
I know.
But
I mean, they're all in debt, though, isn't it?
I'm going to shock you. They're number 2.
But you know what, though?
Who's number one?
Guess what country's number 1?
Who?
Russia?
No.
Who?
India?
No.
The UK?
Right part of the world when you said India.
Iran?
Well, no. East of China.
Hong Kong?
Island country.
Singapore?
No. East
Japan.
of China. Yes.
No, that would be okay.
What'd you say, Aisha?
Japan.
Japan.
And they just sitting there quiet, huh? They ain't saying anything.
Japan is the large. Oh, this is a story from 2022. Japan is the largest holder of U.S. public debt.
Huh.
And Japan's gonna sit there in the cut, and they're gonna let everybody else destroy themselves, destroy their economies, and then when all that happens, that's what they're gonna collect on their debt.
Exactly, which would be the Nagasaki back to us, which would make more sense, actually.
Yeah.
Let's.
And keep in mind, it's like Japan owns the majority of our national debt, and we bombed them in the 40s. So it's like, it tells you that we're in bed with the same people that we consider enemies.
Right.
Well, look at it. It's historical.
But I'm sure that they've had a lot of our national debt for a long time, and I wouldn't be surprised if the bombs for Pearl Harbor were funded by Japan themselves.
Well, we have the reparations that we pay into them too, so we do pay them a lot.
So, but let me ask: is this issue more a China issue because platforms like Facebook, platforms like YouTube, they have a lot of data on us?
But that's what I mean. That I think that across the board, they're going to have
a China
to.
thing. Is it just
of course,
a China thing?
I think it should be a China thing. They actually were caught spying on us.
So,
well, I want to see who Mark Zuckerberg
China
is getting
doesn't
his
allow
money
us
from.
to have TikTok over there. They don't have our version of TikTok.
No, they don't.
No,
they don't have access to it all.
We spy on them too, but they ain't having us there.
I wouldn't be surprised if China was funding Facebook. I want to see who he owed most of his debt to, because I wouldn't be surprised.
Of course, his wife is Chinese, isn't she?
Well, I just think I just think it's so much a
Korean.
Why do you think why wouldn't the U.S. then restrict apps like Facebook, like Twitter, because they're all collecting data?
Because they're saying that they're American made, and that is the problem that I have with this. American made or not, they need restrictions. Period. Period. There's no explanation as to why.
The highest bidder to get the money. So it doesn't matter if somebody's going to pay them if they're from South Africa, North Korea, anywhere. They're going to give it.
Well, that's the thing. That this is the reason why they're not going after Facebook specifically, because a lot of them make their money and fundraise off of Facebook. They fundraise off of Facebook. They need Facebook to not be restricted. How do you think Trump was? Remember, Trump was starting to get most of his money via Facebook.
Yeah.
But Dems and Republicans are like this on this.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are. They
Yes,
are.
they
But
are. You want to talk
one.
about parts?
But I do believe there is some
But
kind
why?
of intelligence. There's intelligence we don't know about.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
they're
agree.
just, there is.
The questions were too
There's
pointed
something
for them
about
not to know
whatever.
something.
It moved quicker once they took down that balloon, and
Yeah.
whatever it was, that
They
has-
know something we don't.
exactly.
And not everything needs to be out in the public anyway.
I agree.
So there's something we
That's
don't
because
need
it was the
to know.
Galactic Federation, not China.
I
But,
feel out.
yeah, you do bring a good point up, ladies, that how often in national politics, American national politics, are two parties in unison.
Yeah.
So you know something's up.
They hated each other. They hate each other. So for them
Yeah.
to be
Together
sitting
on
there
this,
on this
something's
is a
up.
little bit like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, because remember, they would rather remember all that time that we were having these conversations a couple years back. Donald Trump must have something on all these people who are acting like lunatics.
Mhm.
China has something on all these all the politicians, and
True.
they know it. And we you know what, we erroneously think that Donald Trump got his intelligence from Russia. I'm pretty certain he got it from China.
I'm pretty sure he got it from hookers.
Well, remember the DC
They
madam knew
always know.
everything.
Yeah, those
line of the
madams
night.
know.
Line of the night so far.
No, but she's right. Remember the DC madam, they tried to take her down or have a congressional hearing because she knew everything
gosh.
about the politician.
She sure did.
Oh boy.
So,
And told, remember that infamous black book they were trying to get from her. They
Yeah.
had everybody's
that,
names.
if we look at things in a really interesting way, just a few years ago when they were running for president in 2016 and Andrew Yang was running and he kept talking about, AI coming on the move and it's going to be here and blue, blue, blue. And then we had COVID and then boom, AI is basically here. It is moving in and it's moving faster and faster. And I think, and until we get a handle on some things, and then they're implementing certain things into, they say that the data that the Chinese have is a folder on every US citizen. They do say that they have information. And who's to say that one day you get something in your inbox that's extorting you or making you go and do something because they know your relationships or your people? You can become compromised quite easily. And if it's an adversarial country, why the do you want to do that to your people and your citizens? Why are they so willing to sell themselves? I mean, they could say, we want your kids or we want your whatever.
Well, it's obvious that they know that they have the information on us. Have you ever said something to someone and then go to your phone to try and look it up on Google and you type one word and everything that you just said, the exact thing that you were looking for, it comes up with just one letter. You type just one letter and the whole thing comes up and you're like, is my phone listening to me?
We literally tested that this week, Aisha, no joke. When my husband and I were having a conversation about TikTok, I said, everybody has whatever they want on us. Watch, let's just pick something. Now, both me and my hubby are in our 50s. We ain't having no baby. So I said, okay, baby carriage. I want to start looking for a baby carriage for my baby. Oh, baby carriage. We just talked around all our things. What came out within 24 hours? I didn't even have to type it in, Aisha.
Right.
Yep.
Baby carriages.
Yep.
It's so true. And it really sucks because that's the problem. But you have to, these are, things that are fun and whatever, but you always have to be concerned with the nefarious, things that things can be used for in these creations. But the problem is that Donald Trump eroded so much of our national security and the way people believe in our military or in anything. And sadly, many people are like, oh, I'll take my chances and blue, blue, blue. But seriously,
because he's treating it like it's no big deal that he had classified documents. And they're just like, oh, well, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. So if China has this, but it's no big deal. No, it is a big deal because
it also would help. It would be a big deal if we had a DOJ that made it a big deal.
Yeah.
how am I supposed to know the fire's hot if, you know, just keep like walking past it and don't care that, you know, I mean, honestly, it's like, for me, the behavior that we're seeing does not match the concern. It doesn't warrant concern because everybody's like, oh, well, he's not freaked out about it. And
Right. The
you know,
response isn't matching.
no. And so he too, the DOJ has basically eroded the belief in that these consequences are for white men who are rich don't have any consequences in America.
Yeah.
They don't. And it really, they don't. I mean, we had a better jurists and better people from back in the day when that one guy tried to run for, when there was a Klansman who tried to run for president, and he didn't get to win because he had basically raped this very nice woman. And before she died, after drinking bottles of mercury to kill herself, he abducted her on a train, and it was a black Pullman porter who actually testified at that trial in like the 20s. But they destroyed his career. And so people were better for like just the better basic things, because after he was done with her, and he was the head of the Ku Klux Klan in like Waynesville or somewhere, he threw her on the yard. She was a very, you know, teacher or something. So, you know, but we have people now, if that same situation happened, they would still go run out and vote for this person. We are at the dregs of society stage.
Well,
and if I were China, I wouldn't want to deal with this either. I'd listen in and get on every month, because you got a potential here to rock the world when they all get together with BRICS, and you get to also pick and choose who you want in your new society.
That's
and
right.
I gotta tell you, China ain't gonna be picking they're gonna be kicking a lot. They'll be like, nope, this person is deranged. Get rid of them.
I mean, we're basically contributing to our own natural selection in this country.
Absolutely. You said it. You know, you talk about The Voice or American Idol, they'll be like, let me say, no, I don't want her. She's crazy as.
And social media is speeding this process up too for us. That with the natural selection. It's like, you know, even people, it appeals to people's worst in themselves. That's the scary part, is that it appeals to the worst in people. People who ordinarily wouldn't be this ugly on the surface and aren't this ugly face to face, when they get into social media, they are just so disgusting and horrible. And I've seen more horrible people on social media than I have seen good people. And it really shakes my faith in the world. It shakes my faith in the world. It's like, are people really this terrible?
And I think they are. I don't think there are enough good people.
Look, it doesn't change people. It doesn't change people. It just makes them more who they are.
You know, if people spend more time, I found a quote today, which was, if people spent more time being like, go on. It's a really cool quote, and I will find it. And it's something about, yeah.
But what is that quote about? How such and such makes people who they really are. This is what social media does.
When people show you who they are, that's who they are.
No, not that quote. There's a quote that there's something about human nature that makes us more of. It's like with alcohol. People are more honest when they're drunk and they're intoxicated. And this is what social media does. It brings out. It makes people who they really are.
True.
Well, you guys know that
because the mask can come off when you're behind the screen.
I want to move on because we're getting a little off topic from TikTok, but I'm sure this will continue. I think, Jill, all of you also brought up an interesting topic. We should probably speak in the next few weeks about the whole AI race, artificial intelligence. Because I was in a conversation with a group of people this past Tuesday, and there was one guy who's, you know, fairly well established business-wise, and he thinks like people need to wake up. They got to get an AI. But I said, I get what you're saying, but at what human cost? What is going to happen to all the people who are going to be losing their jobs? They don't got anything to go to.
No, because
McDonald's is looking at doing AI because it's cost effective and they don't have to offer benefits or salary.
Well, they don't want universal basic income. Remember, Americans are too prideful to take it.
Okay.
But once they get rid of TikTok, baby.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of people losing money with that.
Well,
Everybody. I'm sorry.
Let's hold I think that's a whole conversation piece in itself, because I don't think companies are looking at the human. Not enough people looking at the human effect. We already see we're just talking about the human effect. All of you are talking about the human effect of social media. Just wait till AI really hits the human effect. Let's move onwards. Father of Parkland victim arrested after interrupting congressional hearing on guns. Aisha, go.
Yeah, I watched the video of him being arrested, and they were talking. The people who did the arresting were like, "Well, will you interrupt a congressional hearing? We arrest you." Where's Jim Jordan's warrant? Because he's always interrupting the congressional hearings when other people are talking. He's always interrupting them. He's violent. The vitriol is horrible. But this, you can't fault a person who lost a child this way, and you continue to double down on not doing anything. This was preventable. Parkland was preventable back in 2012 after Newtown.
Yeah.
They did nothing. Uvalde was preventable if they had done something after Parkland. And it just keeps going and going and going. So the arrest was unfair and unjust, right? And to be perfectly honest, he was saying those things as he was leaving. He walked out when they arrested him. Now, Ashley Babbitt's mother, she went to go get arrested that time when she stood in front of the whatever it was in the middle of the street or whatever. She was trying to get arrested. He was trying to be heard on something legitimate. Yeah. Because they were making this comparison that was just it's like off the wall crazy. It warranted someone saying something. And just the fact that you have Marjorie Taylor Greene yesterday running up and sniffing the behinds of all these January 6th insurrectionists. Meanwhile, this father, those people asked to be arrested. They showed out. They deserved it. But this guy, he just sent his kid to school.
We have one here who sort of approached a young child in Temecula. It was a sort of an open environment where people were talking about the passage of this stupid bill that the House pretended to be passing or passed about the Parents' Right Bill of Rights, which we already had. These are for those knucklehead parents who clearly never were participating in their children's lives. So they think
just go to school website.
It's such a joke. It's like it's going nowhere. It's a bill that will be dead. It hits the Senate. It's DOA. I think that one of these insurrectionist fathers who's waiting on his trial sort of approached a child hostilely. I think I have it on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And
you know why he approached the child? Because he wasn't going to step to a Black adult.
You got that right. That was the first.
He was by himself. It's like those insurrectionists that drove down that street in DC. It was two of them, and they saw a group of Black guys sitting on the corner, and they had their Trump flags. And the Black guy said, "You're not parking here. This is Biden country. You got to go." They ran in their cars and they moved. Because when they are emboldened, only when they're in a group, okay? When they're by themselves, they're cowards.
Yeah, it's just what's going on with the how they allowed that to happen. First of all, Florida is just a real. I can't even believe that people actually live there, and I know that they want to, I don't know. I know they want to hang tough and try to, make things happen. But here, by the way, LGBTQ, I hear, is getting ready to have a huge conference at Disneyland in September. So, I might fly down for that, but I can't stand, what's happening in Florida. And it's just, unfortunately, we're just seeing something about our people that's really depressing about the country. And I don't know if many of you guys saw that in Mexico, they're chiding white Americans, sadly, who are there, and they're saying, go back to your own country and speak Spanish. And they're filming it, and they're filming it. So people are listening, and people are not going to like the way people are going to be responding to them.
That's right.
Here's the saying I wanted to say. This was the saying that I heard about these people. Here's the thought. Maybe you wouldn't have to mention you're a Christian all the time if you just acted like one most of the time. These are the things that it's just outrageous. I'm speechless half the time.
These are the same people who would have stoned Jesus to death. Let's be clear,
for sure.
because Jesus was too woke. Okay, so this is the fundamental problem of this country. There's too much hypocrisy. People don't know what they're talking about. Like, Jill, what you said about the Parents' Bill of Rights things, that was so poignant, because we're all parents.
And what was different on there that we didn't already do?
Website. Right. All you got to do is go to the school website. The curriculum's there. State Board of Education website. Curriculum's there. Tell me that you don't care about your child's education until Fox News tells you that you should care about your child's education.
Tell
They're not
me
telling
that
you to care about the education. They're not telling you to care about the education. They're telling you to care so that you can get on these school boards and turn the rest of the state red.
Yeah. Well,
why.
I got to tell you something. Those school boards are going to get mighty ugly, because I got to tell you something. These parents, I mean,
they already are. And another battleground, libraries.
Yeah, it's really disgusting. I mean, the whole
libraries,
thing for me is
books.
but here's what I was talking to a neighbor of mine today, and I was like saying, I never had an idea that they would like Roe v. Wade would be in the situation it's in today. It was just unfathomable to me. And we were talking, and I said, and maybe, that was kind of like when Aisha once said, like, woke, stay woke out there. There's a part of that, which is like, we kind of fell asleep a little bit. We didn't see that they were eroding at all. And so when your friends come over and when they were doing things and you say, well, drive safe, but stay woke, it needed to be a conversation to say, have you seen how these policemen are acting these days? Or, hey, let me bring this to your attention, because these are things that if we see them doing already with the books, music is next.
Well, they already tried that with music. Remember, that's how we got the parental advisory sticker.
I know that, but they're going to come. But they're going to do it again. They're going to do it again.
But guess what? That's the part that's so ridiculous about this whole book banning. We actually already have a fix for that. Slap a parental advisory sticker on the book. We do that with records. We do that with records all the time.
Oh my God.
But you know what? They know it's ineffective. They know it's
like if
not
you're in a
work.
school band, and all of a sudden you're forced to play these awful patriotic songs. That's enough to make you. That's like what Shostakovich was forced to write, music for the Tsar. He was forced to write some of those songs, those marches.
Yeah.
And
our national anthem has two racist verses. We dropped them because of that.
That's fine, but it's a stupid song anyway. It really it's a horribly crafted song. But with the other ones where you are telling people musically, because in a really weird way, people didn't watch their kids. Some of your kids shouldn't even be online, to be honest. If you were good parents, they wouldn't be. If you were confident, secure parents, your kids wouldn't be such. And that's really the way it is. There are parents who leave their guns out, parents who do the worst. They're the worst at being parents. They suck. And now they're cheering a bill that goes through. That's laughable. That bill is such garbage. I wouldn't even pay it any mind. It's such crap. It's what's so special. Don't breadcrumb me. Don't give me a crumb and tell me it's a cookie.
Well, it's like what I said on Twitter. The people who will never read books, never read these books, want to ban. They've been emboldened to ban books that they will never read anyway. That their kids will never read anyway. It's like, how are you going to ban a book that you will never read?
Going to be reading. It's a special
set of
kids that have great parents that use books to educate. That's a handful of kids in the scope of things in this country. I gotta
You're
say,
banning books. Kids don't read books anymore.
no.
Alright.
And
No, because
no.
as soon as they come out of their womb, they put this in their hand.
Exactly.
Right. Let's move
Remember
on.
this.
Let's
Just
move
one
on.
more thing. One
Okay,
last
go
thing. Remember this. And I said this on Twitter. It used to be illegal for Black people to read. They are going in this direction because guess what? When people don't read, you can control them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Period.
Okay. Let's move on. Wigmaniac says, sorry I'm late, but you're here. That's most important. And let's go into our final conversation topic. We haven't taken a deep dive into it yet, but reparations and Black America. There's been discussion on the City Council of San Francisco about providing reparations to Black American citizens. One of the things that's been bounced about is $5 million for each Black American citizen of San Francisco. I've got to sneeze. Hold on.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Wow, that was good.
And
Called chili spice. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's move forward here as we do this. Yes. So what do we all think about $5 million? Do we think it's ever going to happen? Is there what do you think? We haven't talked about reparations for a while.
I'd like to think that it would happen, but there's just too many elements that are pushing against it. I believe that we deserve it. Yes, I do believe that we deserve it. But when people see money, greed automatically kicks in, and there's several elements to them wanting to put this money in people's hands. I can't remember what organization wants to say that they wanted to give it to them, and then they'll put it toward education of our communities or whatever. But when you have
NAACP of
Yes.
San Francisco,
yes, so I'm sorry, I don't need NAACP handling my money. So
I don't think anyone needs to tell us what we should be doing with that money in the first place. Because here's the thing, we don't know what people would have been doing had they not been enslaved with their own money. You can't tell their descendants what to do with it. But the idea of reparations, let's stop pretending that this is some new. It's not new. They floated the idea during Reconstruction with 40 acres and a mule. The country just didn't uphold its commitment, its bargain, its deal, its contract, because it was written. It was a contract. They broke the contract with Black Americans in this country. And so when you break a contract with someone, you have to pay. You have to pay up, and then you have to pay interest. That is what would kill this country with the reparations for Black America isn't paying the reparations or the original reparations of what they said. It's the interest. It is the interest that has accumulated over more than 100 years. And that is the problem.
Yeah.
They could never repay the interest.
No, they owe us money too. Japan, how much do we own of this country? I mean, it's kind of like, maybe we should go get our own country. And, I don't know. It's a joke. It's really a joke. 5 million is, it's a ridiculous amount. And I thought the going rate at first was going to be close to 200 per person in California, who were founding African Americans, which means your people came here and by boat.
But here's the problem of that, and this is why it's so complex and so tricky for them to figure it out, is because they have no records to go back and say. But that was by design. They have no records to go back and say, oh, here's this and this and this. Do you know Native Americans have been fighting this cause to get their land back, and they had documentation and couldn't do it. Do you know what this country learned from that? Oh, we'll make sure these people have no documentation. Because we'll keep all the records, and then we'll keep copious records by, we'll just give this person a name and we won't put a birth date here or who their parents are.
Yeah, but
And so,
with the DNA as ancestry, things like that, they've gotten pretty good with some people, like as far as showing like who the Virginia settlers, that people come through that era that way, which mine did. It's Virginia. And then from there, they can kind of almost see, and it'll only get more sophisticated, I think. But they're talking about people who emigrate later with their moms and their dads from, let's say Haiti. And that's not going to, although they could have been the slaves that came from Africa, came here, then were sent to Haiti. So, that's where it gets really complex and tricky, because they had a matrix of illegality and crime
I just want to jump in and read a bit of a story that was on PBS news site. So a few things interesting here. What is the argument for reparations for San Francisco? Black migration to San Francisco soared in the 1940s because of shipyard work, but racially restrictive covenants and redlining limited people where people could live. When Black residents were able to build the thriving neighborhood in Fillmore, government redevelopment plans in the 1960s forced out residents, stripped them of their poverty, and decimated Black-owned businesses, advocates say. Today, fewer than 6% of San Francisco residents are Black, yet they make up nearly 40% of the city's homeless population. Supporters include San Francisco's NAACP, although it said the board should reject the $5 million payments and focus instead on reparations through education, jobs, housing.
No.
Okay, let me finish. And a cultural center for Black people in San Francisco. The president of the San Francisco branch is Reverend Amos C. Brown, who sits on the statewide and San Francisco reparations panels. One more thing I want to add. So, what is the argument against reparations? From the same article, critics say California and San Francisco never endorsed chattel slavery, and there is no one alive today who owned slaves or was enslaved. It is not fair for municipal taxpayers, some of them who are immigrants, to shoulder the cost of structural racism and discriminatory government policies, critics say. An estimate from Stanford University's Hoover Institution, which leans conservatives, has said it would cost each non-Black family in San Francisco at least $600,000 in taxes to pay for the costliest of recommendations, the $5 million payout, guaranteed income of at least $97,000 a year for 250 years, personal debt eliminations, and converting public housing condos into sell for $1.
Suck it up.
Last paragraph. A 2022 Pew Research survey found that 68% of U.S. respondents oppose reparations, compared to 30% in favor. Nearly 80% of Black people surveyed supported reparations. More than 90% of Republicans, or those leaning Republican, oppose reparations, while Democrats and those leaning Democratic were divided. I'm done.
Well, here's the reason why they are against it, because who benefits and has continued to benefit from the fact that there was chattel slavery in this country? They do. And you know what? It doesn't matter if it happened in California or not. Guess what? White people in California still benefit from the system. Slavery was national. Granted, the country was small at that time, but it was still this country. You still took the laws that began with slavery and adopted them in California to do the things like redlining, to do the things with districts. And you know what? I'm sorry, but that's not the only major city that has done this. You go to any major city in any state where you have large Black and brown populations, but particularly Black populations, and you will find a highway that was planted in a neighborhood where they took over, gutted, threw out all the people, didn't give them a place to live. And then you know what? When they figured out what they had to do with it, you know what they did? They built housing projects. Exactly. And remember how they built housing projects. Was it just to put the people there? No. The other thing was that they used it to study people. How will people behave if they react, if they live in these tight, close quarters?
And we make it green paint.
Exactly. Cabrini Green, before they tore it down in Chicago, didn't become the way it was because the people were bad. They deliberately put all of these people, they put all the elements together to make it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, when you do that with people, you put people in very close quarters, you give them nothing, you starve them, you give them no
Well, they
education,
learned that
you
from
give
the
them no
Nazis,
opportunities.
is what
They go
did.
crazy. People
They
go.
learned that.
Mhm.
They modeled from the Nazis on how to put people in close, and they just continued their studies. Because had the Nuremberg trials gone the way they should have, we should have had very light immigration coming from Germany. And we had a
My
lot.
city actually did that, and Yale was part of that process. They did that. They not only did that, but then they picked some Black women and sent them out into the community to say, oh, this housing project's a good place to raise a family. Literally had posters and had these women going and talking to Black families to move them there. Why? Because if they took them all and put them here, there was land that either the university could take or the state or the interstate federal government could drive and put in what they did put in, which is the 34 connector.
It's interesting. I was listening to a commentator this week saying, Black gentleman said, isn't it interesting that many non-melanated people will say they're for reparations until you ask, okay, let's cut the check.
But people don't know we're paying reparations to Japan. They didn't even think about that. They have no, like, we bomb somebody and then we have to pay them. We did it for Vietnam as well. We did it for Afghanistan. We do, but in a big way. We definitely paid for Nagasaki and Hiroshima. End of story, flat out, a lot of money. It's the same with Germany, and they're still paying to Israel. So I don't understand a genocide of people that this country has decided to overlook twice after killing like natives and also here. But the natives at least, somehow managed to eke out some, casino and a little bit of capital from this, but not Black people. And when you think about the Getty family who came here, their money was built upon a systemic racism that existed here. So they wouldn't have been coming here and planting what they did and having these wonderful, whatever it is that, in their lives, because the reality is it all did originate. People did, people like to go, we were the salt of the earth people who came here. But the reality is people who were wealthy here were really rich. I mean, and they did come and set up shop like the Vanderbilts or whatever else they lied or cheated, ran liquor or whatever to get ahead. But, Donald Trump's family, bunch of, it's like, what do you do? It's so gross here, the way we try to paint it like it isn't, but it is a pretty gross system that never wants to be accountable.
Yeah.
And we're in two minds here. We're trying to teach our children how to be accountable, and yet the very country that they spit on and sit on doesn't have anything that's accountable. And it's always about, we're a Christian, we'll be about it rather than talking, then show me who you are. Because if
there's two ways to pay reparations too, there's a financial aspect, the check, but then there are other things too. And these people want to talk about education. Okay, fine, whatever. You know what? First thing I want you to do once you cut the check, I want you to make sure that I don't have to pay insurance. Because we are literally paying insurance to companies who insured our ancestors. They insured. They didn't insure them as we're insured like a car insurance. No, they gave insurance to the slave owners on their quote unquote property.
You're living with people that don't care and they don't have any feelings about what was done, and that's what's really bad, and it's really sad.
And because they don't have any feelings, they're going to allow it to happen again.
Please, they're like wiping out a third of them by creating these abortion situations. They're just going to be wiping out Black people and people of color like nobody's business. Legalize murder. That's what they're doing. They ain't fooling nobody with what they're doing.
And
They don't like
abortion
people
bans
of
are so
color
funny
here.
too.
They don't like Black people in America. They pretend. They just do. And Black people, you have to sit here every day. I was talking and I'm like to someone and going, they're still here. We are still here. We are still here as a people. You know, that's something else. Just the scope and the magnitude of that statement. We are still here in all shades, but we are here. So that's almost spiritual. There's something that you better recognize, and you better recognize soon with your Jesus.
And you're not going to be able to force white women to have enough babies to build, to take, to undo the numbers, to undo the numbers. The math won't math, okay? The math won't math. They're not going to, you can't force it.
It's not just about that. There's no, you know, access to, it's just, there's something really crazy about somebody who's spent on, if this were a movie and you would be rooting for the underdog because you'd be like, whoa, they try to wipe them out every single day. They try to wipe them out. And it's just horrendous.
We're like Rocky, we went the distance.
All right.
Yeah, it's commendable.
Okay. We are done. We are done. Ladies, you came out fire. We started nice and easy with Puss in Boots, and look how we finished off. From Puss in Boots to that. Well, as always, ladies, thank you as always for taking the time to hang out. And always, there's always things going on in the world. Allegedly and unallegedly. Yes, I know. But as always, we want to finish it off by saying, how do we get in touch? So first off, in your screen, if you're watching live on the replay, LaLa key.
You can reach me at Realty Goddess on all platforms. And I have some pretty exciting things coming up, so make sure you follow me.
Hey, by the way, I saw the tagline on your Instagram profile, and a few weeks ago, someone had mentioned a term.
Yeah.
Is that official?
Yeah.
What?
I am international.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
So before we leave, let's go. Jill Jones.
I am at Jill D. Jones on Twitter and Jill Jones Music on Instagram, and just talking about oppression in all races. And just quickly,
sure,
I encourage everybody to go and just do a deep dive in some history. I was looking at some things like the Magdalenians, people like in France, which the Magdalenians, and then the Cathars and all these different things. And, you know, just to see the impact that religion, what it has done for so many centuries. And we need to be doing better. You know, we are a step away from like putting people up and you know, accusing them of being witches. It's just absolutely, we've got to get it together. You know, we just do. And the only way is education and reading and deciding who do you want to be in this story.
Mm-hmm. All right. Good take. Aisha Staggers.
Aisha Staggers on Twitter, AK Staggers on Instagram, and don't forget that conference starts next Friday, and Jill and I will figure out how to do something.
Well, that's an understatement. I'm not even talking about the show. You'll figure out to do something. Yes. So let's just bring everyone. Okay, LaLa, international realtor. Tell us what's going on with that.
I have partnered with an agency in Portugal, in Nazaré.
Nice.
And, we are partnering to bring these gorgeous properties to the world, and I'm really excited about it. The first video will be on my YouTube probably within this next week for the first property.
What? We got to show that here.
Excellent. I'm ready to move to Portugal.
That is congratulations. Come on down. That's all right. Oh man, so we got a place to hang in both. So you got a place to hang in Portugal, LaLa.
Yeah.
You can find a place.
Yeah.
Well, y'all can come down to my place in Jamaica, by the way.
Nice. I love Jamaica.
So
I've never been yet. I want to go.
Well,
I've never been.
When you're ready, LaLa, family has a house down there. It's open. have
Fantastic. That's so
relatives,
nice.
guys. So if you guys are more than welcome, you want to hang out there. It's like 10 minutes from the airport. I have an uncle that lives right across the street. He'll cook for you. He'll do everything. He'll probably
Oh,
drive. Yeah, he'll cook for you. Like, funny story, real quick. A few years ago, we went down, and it was a bunch of us, and there was a lady in our party, and she loved the goat he had.
oh.
Right? She's so nice. He's so nice. So the next day, we're at his right across the street, eating, and food's really good. And she goes, "Where's the goat? You're eating him."
Oh no. Oh, oh yikes. Oh.
I knew that was going to be the. I knew it the moment you said the goat.
But Jill, I will say, and I'm sure all of you travel, but like, especially fresh fruits, when you eat in them there.
I know, right? We don't get them here. Oh, and by the way, did you guys know there was a recall on some stuff at Trader Joe's fruits, frozen?
And
I don't like Trader Joe's. Thank you.
The only country in the world so far that I'll eat Kentucky Fried Chicken, because it's totally different in Jamaica.
Is it real? I bet the spices are just off the hook.
It's amazing. It's
really
amazing. It is amazing. No comparison. No comparison.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to bring myself on screen so I can just sign it off.
Okay.
And international realtor. We've got an international realtor in our house. Boom. That is amazing. That is amazing. So let's close it off here. You can watch replays of this lovely conversation with the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, or on my website, thedrvibeshow.com. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and like it on Facebook. Excuse me, if you subscribe on YouTube. Also hit that notification button. Let me just see if there's any other things we need to get at. Oh, of always. You want to promote your business or service on the show? Contact Dr. Vibe at dr.vibe at the Dr. Vibe Show, the drvibeshow.com. And if you want to get a hold of me, website's there, the drvibeshow.com, email. You know what? Just put dr space vibe. I'm Googleicious. I'm Firefox-alicious. All those different things. Usually I should be the first person that shows up. All right. Some final comments from family here before we get out. Jen says, love the conversation. Loved it back. And Regina says, congratulations, LaLa. There we go. All right. So let's close it off here. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Take care. We'll see you. Maybe we'll have Jill and Aisha in NY, ripping up NY. Maybe they'll go after the mayor because I hear he needs some chatting too. Maybe they'll hang out. You know what would be a great picture? Jill and Aisha with Letitia James. That would be a great. I'd love a conversation between those three. Ooh, I'd pay to listen to that conversation. Take care, family. Be well, keep the faith, and God bless.
Yeah.